I find it kind of interesting. I mean, funny. Not the ha ha kind of funny, like it makes me bust a gut kind of funny, but more the sickeningly disturbing yet ironic kind of funny. That Funimation is doing everything they can to scrub ANN and demand they get rid of the Damon Mills article. Even going as far as saying that Damon's at the point where he wants to commit suicide. Anyone who watched my last video will know that is not justification. I've already stated in my last video, I do not condone what Damon has done or what Funimation does. Heck, I don't even give a rat's ass for ANN because they're the ones that caused the whole Vic Mignogna scandal to go off the deep end. I mean, to go off the cliff. That being said, Damon committing suicide. That article's not taken down. Personally, I think he's just trying to bluff. They're trying to bluff and threaten and coerce ANN into taking that article down. If I was the one in charge of ANN, and unfortunately I'm not, I'd leave that damn thing up. I mean, that article up and see how Damon reacts. Now, I know Damon's a bipolar, schizophrenic psychopath. So my question is, why the hell did Funny even hire this guy? If you knew about his appetites, his bad behavior, and his overly self-indulgent, hypocritical idiosyncrasies. Why? But then again, I've beaten the dead horse. I mean, I've beaten quite a few dead horses. Is in Funimation. I mean, Chris Sabat. I've already gone over why he wanted Vic gone, and his own Zeus complex, like in terms of how he can't keep his own libido in check. I basically bashed Monica Rial and Jamie Markey for varying reasons. The former because, well, she wanted to get into Vic's pants and Vic fended her off. The latter because she's a super feminine. I mean, an uber feminine, a super feminist. This who takes it way too far, saying she wanted Vic's head cut off. Look, is Vic John the Baptist? No, he's not. I mean, the second coming of John the Baptist or Christ Jesus our Lord? No, he's not. But that doesn't justify saying you want to chop his head off and stick it on a silver plate. Sean Schimmel, I don't really rip on because he's at least honest with why he wanted Vic gone and why he hated Vic. So I don't really rip on him all that often. But Damon has basically put himself in the firing line with this scandal. And Funimation continues to make themselves look like bigger pieces of dog crap day in and day out. And it makes me sick that this company that in the early 2010s I was actually getting a few of their anime from through a friend of mine who gave me a couple of DVDs for Christmas and birthdays, has basically sunk to the lows they have. I mean, I even heard recently Crunchyroll took the High Dive app off the Verve connection app. They also did the same thing with Rooster Teeth. So yeah, Rooster Teeth, High Dive, if you have a Verve account, they're both gone. Now all that's left are Crunchyroll and Mondo. I found this out just last night. And I find that odd considering that High Dive is basically the streaming service for Sentai Filmworks content, which happens to be Funimation's sister dubbing house, since it's made up of guys and gals who are basically stalwarts from what's left of ADV Films. How is that I mean, that's ironic, don't you think? I'm getting a little off track, but the point is, the more Funimation tries to cover up their own hypocrisies, the more it makes Vic look innocent and them guilty, which they already are. Freaking guilty. And it's this sort of thing that makes me sick into my stomach. I mean, the next nearest con that's happening toward in my around me is Lexington Comic Con in Lexington, Kentucky, March 21st or through the 27th. Now, keep in mind, because Vic's in Europe, he's not going to be there. But let's run down the list in terms of the voice acting industry of who is in the media guess. Let's run down the list of those who are, at least in the voice acting industry. Zach Aguilar. I don't have a problem with him. Johnny Young Bosch. Anyone who knows me knows I fucking love Johnny. I fucking love Johnny. Not in the romantic sense, but I like him for being a talented actor and live action and voiceover actor. Leah Clark. Can't stand her because she's part of the blockchain brigade on Twitter. Um, Josh Grelly. F him. Michael Hagini. Mostly known for doing a lot of Pokemon voices. Never really knew about him, to be honest, so I'll give him a pass. Megan Hollandsheed. I like her. Brittany Karbowski, screw her, since she was one of many who jumped on the bandwagon to get rid of Vic. Matt Latner, aka the voice of TCW Anakin Skywalker. I don't mind him. Jason Liebert, not my hashtag not my crow. And he'll never be my crow, Bronwyn. Vic is the one true crow to me. Ron Perlman. Don't mind him. Though he's mostly known for his live action work in Hollywood. Monica Rial. Fuck this bitch to the depths of hell. She deserves to be thrown in the slammer. She's a hypocritical shrew who loves to be abused and basically a cum barfing skank. Pardon my mouth, but I had to get that off my chest. And to hell with Chris Sabat and Sean Schemmel. More so Sabat because of his Zeus complex. I mean, seriously. How does Tabitha sleep with this bastard at night? I mean, knowing that her own husband cheats on her by way of the casting couch. Eric Stewart, I've only met once. He's hit or miss. Veronica Taylor, I like her, though I've never met her in person. And that's in terms of voice actors. But I mean, honestly, there's quite a few bad apples popping up in Kentucky this weekend. And I'm not going to that anyway, to be fair. Do you miss the days when autographs were only like $30 instead of $60? I do. That's just for a con in the state of Kentucky. And once again, Damon Mills mean, the claims that Funimation are defending Damon Mills when they threw Vic under the bus shows how much of a bunch of hypocrites they are. In Vic's case, according to Senkiku Complex, he merely ate candy and kissed a fan after they requested it, and Vic was fired. Yet Damon had even worse accusations leveled against him with proof, and some people are even defending this son of a bitch.
To be proof that they tried to silence the victim, once again proving
How is that fair?
in
And I'm
comparison to
watching
what
the video
happened to Vic Mignogna.
done by
He
Dante's
merely ate
rants.
candy and kissed a fan after they requested it, and Vic was fired. Yet Damon had even worse accusations laid against him with proof, and some people are even defending him. What are your thoughts about this? All right, so this seemed to be the tweets from the person who conducted the interview with Duncan. She goes on to say, "Hi, this is the only thing I'm going to say about the recent Mills articles because it bothers me enough that I have trouble sleeping."
And this is the woman who sat on that article, on that story, for 5 effing months. 5 months. You don't sit on a story like that. You blast it out ASAP instead of giving them time, hypocrites like this, time to try to come up with a countermeasure. You shoot it at them out of the gate when you get the story. Lindsay Loveridge, you're a coward. You know that? You're nothing but a gutless coward.
This and ADR director attempted to get ANN, Anime News Network, to take down the articles. The person stated, "If we don't, Mills may unalive himself, and we have to write about that."
Personally, at this point, I don't know if anyone would care if Damon Mills committed suicide, for better or worse. And I know that comes off as sardonic and cynical of me to say, but think about it, folks. People with a mental problem like Damon Mills, with a victim complex like him, would you put it past them that they try to pull that off? Try to commit it? No, I wouldn't. He'd be more than content trying to kill himself, going as far as to kill himself to get that document doxed. Of course, we all know where you end up when that happens, if that were to happen. And keep in mind, this is not me being overly judgmental. For reference, have any of you ever heard of a play that started in the mid to late 80s called Heaven's Gates and Hell's Flames, which is basically the morality play that depicts what happens to how both those who have and have not given their life to Christ dying, and they're standing at the gates looking up at the top of the stairs, and there's way to heaven, and there they see the angel with the book of life in her hand. You ask the angel if your name's in the book. If it's in, Jesus comes out. You climb up that stairway and go into heaven. If it's not, the devil pops out and his demons drag you to hell. Well, while he's cackling all the while, making social commentary on the situation that got you into hell. My point exactly, Raul Seda. And like Trent and I said earlier, Vic's not even going to be in the country this week. I think he's in Moldova right now helping out Ukrainian refugees. Think about that. A guy who's fired from one of the biggest companies and hasn't had much of an acting gig over the last 3 years, going out of his way to fly to Moldova to help Ukrainian refugees. Are any of the other Funimation actors doing that? No, they're not. I've already made my point clear on what's going on in Ukraine, so I'm not going to reiterate it. And why? Because those people in Funimation, or most of them anyway, they don't give a damn about what's going on in the Ukraine. Are they part of a giant global media cabal hell bent on lying to the people? Maybe, but I wouldn't know. But then again, given their overly political, leftist political viewpoints, wouldn't be surprised if they are. That being said, at this point, with how Damon is now being seen for the monster he is by the fan base, would anyone really care if he were to commit suicide? I'd say some would, but most would not. I mean, sure, Funimation will lionize him if he does that. But let me ask this. Did they lionize Chris Ayers when he passed away from COPD last October? No, they didn't. They only quietly let it slip that he died of COPD last October. As far as I'm concerned, the late, both Linda Young and the late, great Christopher Owen Ayers are a much better Frieza than Damon Mills. Just like how I view Ian James Corlett, Peter Peter Salemachus, and the late Kirby Morrow as far better Gokus than Sean Schimmel claims to be. How's that for a Kamehameha through the ass? Ass of Funimation. You may not like what I gotta say, but I've got no regrets with what I gotta say. Because I'm at least being honest. Almost to the extremest of faults. I stand with Vic, now, then, forever. Smash the like button, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel. Mets2128 signing out. Goodbye and good night. Bang.